Across the country, a quiet revolution is taking place in Key Stage 3.
This one, I want you to spell your name backwards going that way. And this one, I want you to do it this way, forwards, at the same time. Have we got it?
It's got nuts, it's got caramel, it's got a pattern on the bottom, and it tastes nice.
Traditional timetables are being abandoned.
By the end of the 2-hour session, you will all have composed a piece of music based on one of the features that we'll see in Chatsworth next week.
Subject divisions are being thrown out.
I'm a music teacher and I'm a musician, and I was a bit sort of scared really by the idea of having to teach history and geography. The first task for today is play your own game and check that it works.
We based it around the cholera outbreak in the 16th century and 19th century. So what you've got to do, if you're the people, you've got to get to the factories and back to the house without getting caught by the cholera.
Radical ideas like brain gyms are being tried out.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, U, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Excellent stuff.
And some teachers' job descriptions are being completely rewritten.
When we first discussed it last year, we talked about an integrated curriculum where one teacher would be taking a class all day, every day, and that we would teach every subject. I was a bit sort of flabbergasted by that.
It's all part of the Key Stage 3 curriculum review, a workmanlike description of a real revolution.
It just teaches you good stuff that you'll need to know that you'd want usually actually get to learn at school.
Led by the QCA.
Well, I'm called the Director of Curriculum at QCA, and my job is to manage a relatively small team on a whole range of curriculum issues, and one of those is the review of the Key Stage 3 curriculum. And that's meant trying to encourage our people to get to all corners of the country, to talk with people in all schools in the country, and to gauge the views of where the curriculum should go. Then we've had the job of bringing together this new curriculum, the programmes of study, and trying to present that in a way that encourages schools to want to take part. My job's simple. I've just got to create a modern, world-class curriculum that will inspire and develop all children and prepare them for their future.
I want young people to look forward to coming to school, to knowing that what they'll do will be exciting and that will be challenging, and that they might sometimes have to do very routine and very straightforward things, but they know that in the end those things matter, and that they will also get the opportunities to do the more exciting, more challenging, more group work, more demanding kinds of things that will make them understand how their studies relate to the rest of their lives.
Change on this scale brings with it excitement, but managing change, both for leadership teams and for classroom teachers, is something which cannot be ignored. But neither can the need for change.
I certainly think that the curriculum, what is on offer at the moment, is rather limited for some students. I think it is something of a straitjacket for many students and teachers to be able to teach creatively and imaginatively, to bring out those skills from students that we do require.
The emphasis for the dozens of schools now trying out new ideas at Key Stage 3 is on skills and competencies, moving away from the content-dominated national curriculum, which is now 20 years old.
Well, Living Education is a course where we sat down and said, what does our learner look like at the end of Key Stage 3? And we then said, well, let's think of the skills and competencies we want, and then we'll find something to teach it. Rather than looking at the content first, we looked at the skills and competencies first, and then found the content that would deliver that.
Hello, my name is Lauren. I'm going to talk about loss of jobs, reproduction, and how people have become dependent on animals.
Well, we wanted our students to be mature. We wanted our students to show the higher level skills. We wanted them to be able to evaluate. We wanted them to be able to think for themselves. We wanted them to be able to manage their own time. All key areas that I think every school would say are issues with their students. And it's about bringing in a maturity in the learning that's not always apparent at Key Stage 3.
Other programmes in this unit showcase how schools are developing learning based on skills and competencies. How do staff manage the changes that are necessary to bring this about?
Managing change is always very difficult. The key to managing change, in my view, is communication. Nobody wants anything to be landed on them when they don't know anything about it. They suddenly find out, you know, oh, well, we couldn't find somebody to teach Living Education Period 5 on a Thursday, so you've got it, mate. So it's all about consultation, communication, building on the people who are already positive influences for change. Our working group were all there as volunteers. They were enthused, they were excited, they went away and talked about it to other people. So everybody had an idea, a knowledge of what was happening.
All right, let's just have a little bit of a recap about what we're doing and about how this fits into our topic. So what are we doing about this term? Rhian? Chatsworth, good girl. Fantastic. That was a bit obvious, wasn't it? OK, we're doing about Chatsworth. And what centuries are we looking at? George?
16th and the 19th.
The 16th century. And I'm going to do my cheating way of writing it. And the 19th century. Excellent. Well done.
But obviously we can't work on volunteers all the time, and we had to then look at other people that we could bring in to do it who maybe weren't so keen. But with those, it's a matter of talking, explaining, making life as easy for them as they can, and it's opening up the doors. There will be a barrier. They will say they can't do something, and we have to take away that door and then through another door and so on and so forth, until eventually people are happy to move ahead. Ultimately, you have to tell them they're doing it. But we will try and support and nurture as much as we can in order to bring people on side.
There aren't many teachers who are resistant to change. There are teachers who are a bit scared of it and wonder what will happen, and teachers who haven't known much different and don't know what to do instead. There are teachers who are a bit nervous. There's all sorts of different ways of saying, you know, where do we go now? But there aren't many teachers who are sort of half-empty teachers rather than half-full. Most teachers are okay about that. What I think is going to happen is that there'll be a real professional enthusiasm for this, which is infectious. And what we're trying to encourage is a sort of professional contagion about the curriculum, where people just want to take it further. They get bitten by the bug of seeing what they could do with this thing and how they could make it work. If people are so resistant, it's such a shame, and you have to accept they're there in every industry, not just in teaching.
That's the view from the top. How, though, does it play in the staff room?
We met as a very small steering group, first of all, and looked at the various possibilities that we could choose of some kind of skills-based curriculum. And we marshalled our rationale for it in some detail before we actually spoke to anybody else about it at all. And then we had a staff meeting where a couple of us put a presentation to staff about the changes that were being proposed. We gave the presentation to the whole staff, and then we thought about leaving the country for a little while. However, it was very well received. It was very well received because a lot of what we said was completely logical. Some people didn't stay as positive, and we've had our ups and downs, which you would expect because you're asking people to do things that are very different from anything they've done before, and it's not an entirely pleasant experience.
I think the way to deal with change is to be very honest with staff and to say, look, we think this is the way you're going. We think it's for the benefit. Do you want to be part of this or not? I mean, nobody has to work at Glossopdale. They can find other jobs. And indeed, I made this clear right from the start. We tried to identify the 30 people fairly early on in the last academic year, so that if they were genuinely, this isn't for me, they had a chance to go. I mean, I know that sounds brutal, but that's the way it was. None of them went, and none have gone this year. And I think it is by being open, by celebrating success, and I think they can see it. But it certainly hasn't been easy. Some staff have been distraught with what they've been expected to do, and it's not always been possible to give them as much support as we would wish, because it's a busy school and there's a lot going on. But I think we've got it right now.
And let's have a look, please, at the one that says Revelation. Which 6 notes are we going to play?
C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp and A sharp.
Right, very good. Does anybody know what it means, F sharp? How do you play F sharp or G sharp or A sharp on the keyboard?
They're the black keys.
The black keys, right. Which direction do I go from the white key? Right or left?
Right.
Right, OK.
What will be important is how heads and the senior leadership teams in schools help teachers face the various changes that are coming through at the moment and help them to prioritise. We want teachers to see this as an opportunity, not something they've got to suddenly change everything, but an opportunity to remove barriers, to refresh their curriculum and to take up some of those things they probably really wanted to do but haven't quite managed to do yet.
For some teachers, changes on this scale can allow them to reinvent themselves.
What it did was it gave staff a real sense of being able to go back and think again about why they started in the job. And I think even if we hadn't have got living education at the end of it, just the release and the professionalism that people were able to exhibit in that forum where people were asked to say what they thought learning was about, I think was very liberating for people. And I often talk about having Dead Poets Society tattooed on your chest, because most of us come into teaching because we want to make a difference, and often we get bogged down with when's the coursework got to be in, how many books have I got to mark, and it was a real release, I think, for people to be able to talk about why they're here and what they want from the students.
Why are they all naked? Again, it's fashionable. It was fashionable at the time.
Fashionable to watch.
No, the people wouldn't have been naked, but the fashion of the time was to have naked sculptures. They've been asking me intelligent questions. They've been asking me questions around the subject with the knowledge that they already have. So, yeah, I know that they've taken things in and I can answer them from what I've read, and it's been good, yeah. It's consolidated nicely.
The 30 people teaching Key Stage 3 here have bonded, I think, as a group of professionals more than I've ever seen before. The amount of discussion about the curriculum has been quite profound. I mean, I think teachers are very happy to discuss children, usually naughty ones, but actually to get them engaging in a discussion outside their very tight subject area on curriculum and learning, I think is quite unusual, and yet we have that now.
Philosophically, I would recommend it to anybody, let people talk about students and learning, and because often the forums we should use for that do get bogged down with business, and we lose that ability to sit on top of the hill and think philosophically about why we're here, what we're doing, what we believe in, and what we really want for our young people.